Hello, welcome to another exciting episode, another uh, publicly available. You know what I mean? I'm putting it out there publicly. Okay, so there we go. I want to make sure I had everything going with my monitors and such. Welcome to Extreme Narcissism TV, the Inebriation Nation. Man, out of pop culture. I want to talk about the man baby cinema. It's been something I've been wanting to do for a while. I thought I was going to do it with Mr. McGarbage which is a garbage can puppet. But I was like, nah, there's like a lot of stuff to go through here. And I want to just show how like omnipresent, if you want to watch comedy, like I don't even have nearly enough movies here. There needs to be more. But just with what's here, I'm going to go all over the place to every movie you like and kind of fucking ruin it for you. Sorry. But, but maybe not. Here's something I've noticed, and it's going a ways back. I mean, you can even go back as far as Clockwork Orange. And I apologize if you're going to see this backwards. My YouTube has all kinds of effery. I can't even have thumbnails. I have to keep reloading thumbnails, all kinds of troubles. So as I'm watching this now, it's backwards. There's some way I'll be able to flip it, but boy, what a pain in the butt that it just won't show up right. So, so anyway, this is a prevalent theme. If you want to watch a comedy, you're going to see an example of a man who isn't quite a man. And even if he becomes a man in comedy, he's going to be a man baby. And I mean, this goes way back. Like Animal House is the idea of these man babies that go to college and they do juvenile shit. But the man baby is also something wanted for the Brave New World. It's also something wanted by Aleister Crowley, the infantilism, the perpetual infant child, the man baby. Even when they grow up, they'll be obsessed with me, and all the things of me. And here's these movies with selfish pursuit, selfish requests. Here's a more recent one, Grandma's Boy. All right, Grandma's Boy. He works. It's a new American dream for a young 20-something guy that can't get laid. He plays video games. He works at a place that makes video games. He's a gamer, and then he gets high, and he still lives with his grandmother, and he has a whole bunch of kooky friends. He's a man baby. He's like 35, and he makes video games and gets high, and he's still unmarried, doesn't have any kids. I'm saying that's okay, but he hangs out with a monkey that gets high. Ryan Reynolds. A lot of these guys play the same character over and over again. And if you want to know how we got to Grandma's Boy, it starts with Rodney Dangerfield and Caddyshack, but also with Easy Money. Because Rodney Dangerfield leads to Adam Sandler, because Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, and a whole string of movies Adam Sandler did afterwards were using the Rodney Dangerfield man boy formula that he uses in Easy Money, which I know I have here. Right here it is. Back to School and Easy Money. Rodney Dangerfield. Rodney Dangerfield is a man baby. He's one of your old proto man babies. I mean, he nailed it. I mean, you could go back to the black and white days of like Laurel and Hardy and say they're man babies. Sure, they're just doing shenanigans and teasers like you would watch somebody on vaudeville that you couldn't hear because they didn't have speakers, and you'd watch them slip around and do stupid shit. Rodney Dangerfield doesn't do that. Rodney Dangerfield does mugging, but he is. I should really have Animal House, which I do have. I need to have Animal House because that is one that a lot of shit is built on top of. I know it's here, but I'm just not seeing it. Anyway, you probably see it, right? Yeah, there it is, Animal House. Double Secret Super Probation Edition. I'm Don Pardo from Saturday. It's Saturday Night Live. And guess what that is? So there's Animal House. John Belushi, the little, was he a little Hungarian dude? Ukrainian guy? What is he? Lithuanian guy? Anyway, you got John Belushi, little funny comedian guy. He's on, these are all about the man babies. These guys go to college, and instead of growing up to become men, they just want to fuck off and be slobs and get pussy. And we have the devolution, evolution of the man baby up into women, where you come around to people like Sarah Silverman, Broad City, Amy Schumer, Lena Dunham, and the girls from Girls. These are all man babies. But what it is it's the enculturation through, and again, like I say many times before, I think I'm finally getting into the role of this. Boy, I had a rough start. Sorry for that. But anyway, Aldous Huxley, Brave New World, the Brave New World, we're living in it. You're soaking in it. So I'm using my googly version of Brave New World. We're living in it. And Brave New World wants the man baby. Clockwork Orange. Clockwork Orange is the man baby in whatever year this came out, 60s, 70s, 1971. Stanley Kubrick's A Clockwork Orange. Malcolm McDowell's a man baby, and so are his buddies, and they get punished. And what do we got now? Like internet trolls and furries that kill and fuck animals, the bad boys. I mean, they're sickos. And this movie's kind of a comedy. So that's why I included it as the man boy comedy. But as you can see, I have a couple other movies in here that don't fit, like Logan. You're like, why is that here? It's all part of the man baby thing, because we have to dip into other genres just a little bit to let you know that these are the role models for men. I should have said that up front. How to be, keep waiting. Ryan Reynolds again and again. I wanted to borrow Van Wilder from somebody, but I didn't get to. So sorry for that. Hold on, I'm losing my thumbs. So anyway, you got the man baby and you got Ryan Reynolds. Deadpool. It's like the extreme version. Like Deadpool and Deadpool 2 is like the Gantz version, the extreme version rather, of the man baby. Hey, I'm the man baby and the Terminator. The Terminator is a man baby. The Terminator can just go around, where's Sarah Connor? Oh yeah, fuck this. Everything get out of my way. That's not Sarah Connor. I want something. I'm on a mission. Boom. But Deadpool does jokes. He's a cursing, bloody Spider-Man that fucks and gets fucked. And then here I have Ryan Reynolds, who's also the same weird sort of proto Deadpool. Like you could say that who's the character that plays Deadpool? Not Ryan Reynolds, but the character's name. Wade Rogers. So you could say that Wade Rogers was the guy from Waiting, because it's the same character. Ryan Reynolds plays the same guy. Bill Murray plays the same guy. I don't really have a lot from Bill Murray. I know Ghostbusters is here somewhere. Yeah, I need an example of Bill Murray. Bill Murray, the example I should have had is Stripes. Bill Murray is the proto Ryan Reynolds. That's why I got to bring him out. So yeah, there's no picture of him. So Bill Murray is a proto Ryan Reynolds, but at the same time, all of these guys are part Chevy Chase, not Bill Murray in Caddyshack, but Bill Murray in every other movie, and Rodney Dangerfield. All right. So these are all goofs. And here's like here's the funny animal. It does weird shit. It's a horny something that humps on things, or whatever. Not in this movie, but other places. Let's have a monkey, like Grandma's Boy. Caddyshack has a gopher. Grandma's Boy has a monkey. Ghostbusters has the dead ghost of John Belushi. Logan has a little girl and an old crippled man. Beavis and Butthead have Stewart. They all have their little imp, halfling, changeling thing. But anyway, Waiting. It's a good, hey, I like Clerks. I want to make Clerks working in a restaurant. So the guy made Clerks in a restaurant, and it's perfect. It's a good, funny comedy, but it is about, hey, you've all worked in restaurants, right? It's one of the first jobs we all wind up getting. Men or women, doesn't matter. You wind up working in a restaurant, probably. It sucks. It's not fun unless you're drunk or high all the time. But even if you are, it's just paranoid and weird, and it's not fun at all. I don't know. Maybe that's how you handle your boozes and stuff. So anyway, all these guys are built upon one another, and they all kind of come out at the same time. You know what I mean? It's all the same way of thinking. It's all this pannish, puckish. Well, actually, it's like Hermes. All these guys are Hermes. Hermes is the guy who gets about by his wits. He made the liar. He lied to a turtle, killed the turtle. He guts the turtle, takes the shell apart, and makes a liar. And he lies. Hermes lies to everybody. And who does he lie to that doesn't get away with it from? Apollo. Apollo's his older brother god, and more of a god than Hermes. Hermes is like a godlet or half a god. He's like Thor. Something. He's half human, half god, something like that. Or like Star-Lord. Star-Lord's in here. We're gonna get to your Marvel superheroes and Guardians of the Galaxy. Stick around, man. Yeah, look at all the people we got in here. We got Popeye the Sailor, Tom Hanks, Sarah Silverman, Tim and Eric, Kids in the Hall, Chris Elliott, and Dave Chappelle, Tracy Morgan. There's a whole bunch of people, and Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey. We got to get to Jim Carrey. He's your man boy. He's one of those guys they give you to grow up with. like Chevy Chase and Bill Murray, and I suppose Rodney Dangerfield. Anyway, these are all guys that they can't get it together. They're the gamblers, the liars, the cheats, and the steal. They get by their wits. They're Hermes. They're the archetype of Hermes in cinema. That's as dry as I can make it. I'll have to put it in a title when this live stream's over. So, Conan O'Brien's here, the Mallrats. I'm getting too big. Rodney Dangerfield comes out with Easy Money, and I will tell you this: Rodney Dangerfield is a huge influence on, where is he? Adam Sandler. I threw him away. Yeah, Adam Sandler right here. Adam Sandler built himself on, I want to be like Rodney. And he does. He's like, you could tell. There's something about Adam Sandler that wants to be like Rodney, but a lot of people do. All those Saturday Night Live movies, they kind of want to be like Rodney. David Spade, Stripes with Bill Murray is the progenitor of that or whatever. Stripes with Bill Murray. A guy, my life's not working. What do I do? Well, here's me and my best friend. Shit, you know what? I'll join the army as a goof. Where's my police academy? There's like 4 or 5 police academies movies that have Officer Mahoney in it. And I know I have, here's Police Academy right here. Police Academy. I'm making a mess out of my pile. Police Academy Officer Jerry Mahoney. Jerry Mahoney was an old comedian. I don't think that Officer Mahoney, Police Academy is all 4 movies. These are all the 4 good ones. They are. They're garbage. It's good garbage. It's like slipping on banana peels with tits and stuff like that until everybody likes them. And they're like, well, let's make them PG, more money. And then they took the boobs away, except for, anyway. So Police Academy, Officer Mahoney, he's a guy, he has a shit job and working in a car lot. He parks a car sideways. He gets in trouble. He's like, what do I do? I'll join the Police Academy. It's my only way to avoid prison or something like that. I needed a drink. He's a man boy. He lies, cheats, and steals, and he gets caught. And he reforms himself. But really, he doesn't. He just gets into a new environment where he's a fish out of water, just like you feel in your life every day. But he thinks that if he can use his wits, that he will succeed. But well, he does, but that doesn't work in real life. I mean, you can get by your wits, and sometimes there's times for lying and cheating and stealing to authority and everything. But that's not the point of this whole archetype. Kevin Smith, Guardians of the Galaxy, Star-Lord. He's a bad boy. He can't settle down. He travels the galaxy. He's a wandering spirit. Mallrats. A lot of kids grew up with Kevin Smith stuff. Clerks 2 is in here somewhere. Clerks. They're all man babies. Logan's a man baby. In this movie specifically, they give him a daughter, and the whole time, he never really wants to fully 100% commit to being a dad. He's a man boy. He hangs out with old elderly gay that he takes care of that was his mentor. That's Professor X. Then he finds out he has a daughter, which should be a reason to live. And the day they're going to cross the border, he decides he's going to sleep in. That is the dumbest way to end it. But everything's like that. Scott Pilgrim. This movie would have been a hit if they wouldn't have had him be the lead. I like this movie for what it is. I own it. But I keep thinking that if they would have had somebody that was handsomer with charm, more than just dudes would have liked Scott Pilgrim. But this is like the cucking out of America. He's a man baby. Scott Pilgrim's a man baby. It's a men's fantasy. He gets all different kinds of girls, and he finally meets a girl that's, more trampier than him, and he meets his match. But boy, he wants to keep her because she doesn't want to have him, or whatever it is. That's how it is with handsome boys, which Michael Cera's not. So the movie's confusing to people. I like Michael Cera and everything, but it's weird. Also, in this movie, Scott Pilgrim, man baby, is going to school with a teenage girl. How come she's not in wherever she is? Yeah, there. Scott Pilgrim's dating a high school girl, who's like 16 or something like that, and he's 25. I don't know. In older times, it didn't matter because they would have married each other. But now in this age, when people bone each other and everyone exploits one another, you can't let your 16-year-old daughter date a 25-year-old guy because he's not going to marry her. He's and if he is, he's like brain dead now because kids are dumber. But anyway, got Workaholics. The Workaholics is the modern day version of the man babies through the Three Stooges. I don't have an example of Three Stooges, but we got a lot of shit to go through here. We're going to go through all of these, every movie. And it's not everything I want. I don't have examples of Wes Anderson movies, all man baby stuff. And now people want to be these characters from movies. So these guys walk around, whether they do it workaholic style or whether they do it uh not Third Rock from the Sun. What's that one? The Big Bang Theory, where they're nerds and they quip and they do bants and stuff. I've had this shit happen to me in life, where people are doing bants with me and crap like that in life. It's some garbage. You know what I mean? So it doesn't work. They're trying to be funny this way, like the workaholics are trying to be funny, like with the fedoras and the mustaches when you're buying some like pop culture bullshit. And like, oh, and they're making like a funny joke. And I'm like, just, no, don't do it. So anyway, the Workaholics is the Three Stooges. There's the guy with the red hair. That's Larry Fine. And that's Curly Joe. He's stupid. And that's Mo that's supposed to keep them all in line. It's Larry, Curly, and Mo. Three Stooges, the Workaholics. And they're dumb. They're the role models of the man babies for guys that are this age and younger and older that are still living this lifestyle. These guys room up. It's a thing that everybody jokes about. These guys room up. They have shit jobs. They're the last of the telemarketers. All that went over to India. But these guys are the last of the American telemarketers. And they're liars, cheaters. They're, three versions of Hermes or whatever else they could represent that I'm not catching. And they lie, cheat, and steal, the scam. What do they always say? What's the scam, or what are we doing? They're always trying to figure out some kind of thing to get by. And it doesn't work out, and they're dumb, they're idiots. And it's an example. You laugh at them and say, that's funny, because it's like me and my friends. But it's also like Beavis and Butthead. Beavis and Butthead was making fun of the audience of people watch MTV and go, Mike Judge, the creator of MTV, the guy who also created Office Space, which I think is in here somewhere too. Yeah, there's Office Space right there. I don't need to pull it out though. But there's Office Space. And you see what I mean? Like, as I keep throwing these up, it's the same thing over and over again. It's the same archetype. It's a loser, a liar, a cheat, and a swindler, a gambler, a guy, easy money. Rodney Dangerfield's a gambler. He does drugs. He drinks too much. He goes to strip clubs. He's married. He has 2 daughters. One of his daughters getting married. And if he wants to inherit money from his mother-in-law, he has to pass a physical at the end of the year and all this stuff. So he's got to be clean and sober for a year. And that's what the movie's about. And it's a great prototype for stuff like Billy Madison. Hey, if I want to love my family, I gotta do this thing. If I want to get my son's respect, I gotta go back to school. If I want to inherit the family business, I gotta go back to school. But he goes back to school. I'm amazed that this hasn't been made over and over again by different people using the same formula of like, I gotta go back to school and I'm a douche. I guess they did with Bad Teacher, where they had Cameron Diaz go back to school as a swindler, scammer, female Hermes character. It's like I should have Bad Santa in this mix too. It's like Hermes never really redeems himself in his story, but he gets away with it. And he sort of agrees, I think, unless he's lying, he agrees not to go after Apollo. But again, Hermes, he plays the liar, and the word liar comes from him. You fucking liar, because the liar was what Hermes would play his sweet, soothing music to soothe himself, because he was a big mama's boy. He was original man baby. Hermes lived at home in a cave with his mother, who was a nymph that hid away, and he would pretend to be a baby. And that was one of his disguises, the man baby, to get away with some bullshit and not want to grow up and suck off his mother's teat and not have to grow up like a real man and tend the flocks and do whatever you need to get a herd. Instead, Hermes would steal everybody's shit and ruin people's lives. And all this stack of movies is man baby cinema of Hermes, Half Baked, Let's Get High, and all that stuff. Big Lebowski. I want a retribution from it's just a dumb quest. This guy gets caught up in some whole shit because somebody got toilet water in his rug or something like that. And the Big Lebowski he's like, I just want things to go back to normal, man. He just wants nothing to happen. The Big Lebowski wants nothing to happen. He just wants the life of Billy Madison without having to go to school. It's almost like a life without conquest. And then you get one single-minded autistic goal, but they've been doing it before I was aware of the word autism, or before probably most people were aware. Popeye the Sailor, which is upside down. Um, oh, South Park. Talk about man babies. Popeye the Sailor. He's a man baby. He never settled down. And finally, one girl does like him, but she's kind of weird. And he's kind of weird. It kind of works. They're both autistics. They're both the Big Bang Theory couple. And then they adopt a baby. Sweet Pea's somebody's baby. Don't know who it is. They're like, I know I'm making a stretch to say Thimble Theater's Popeye the Sailor is supposed to be man baby. But I mean, it kind of is. I mean, I should say maybe that's why the appeal still sticks around. If they have, if they have something that works, use it. So Popeye was still viable back then when old properties went up for sale, and they said, well, if we want to use the property, we got to make a movie. That's still true. But back then they were like, well, what can we make? Well, let's make something we already know people like. Popeye the movie. I put this here because he is a man baby, and he does have like a weird SJW girlfriend who has a weird boyfriend that's the kind of boyfriend an SJW woman would want, which is a guy that will just totally annihilate her and crush her into the dust. And then they adopt a baby, the Sweet Pea. Anyway, this was a good movie that had legitimately good sing songs. I don't care about musicals. I don't know about any of that stuff. But this movie it's a good movie. It's so strange. In the history of cinema, like the pacing's good enough. The songs are good enough. They're fruity. It's weird. There's fighting. He really has arms like that. It's a strange movie. He fights an octopus at the end. Shelley Duvall's looks like olive oil. It's strange. The Office. This is the future they wanted to create. This is the American version of The Office. But look, they're all man babies. And the women are immature too. It's school. Hey, did you like high school? Did you like the fuckiness around of high school and goofing? Well, that's what it's like in The Office. The Office is a playground, tattling on each other like school. Nobody really gets fired. They get punished. They get this and that. Some people kiss and like each other. Some people are butt kissers and they get the good jobs. This guy's in charge and he's incompetent. And, lying, cheating, stealing, whatever, all the things that The Office is, it's all man babies. It's all, you know what I mean? She's a bratty gossip, troublemaker, jerk. They're all jerks, but it's supposed to be sexy. It's the high school and recess extended into adulthood. And people really do live like this. That's why they like it. I mean, the UK does what, like 4 seasons of The Office or 2? And then how many did they do? 6 of this? Anyway, it doesn't matter. South Park. We didn't get to that one. I brought it out. South Park is all man babies. It's literally little boys that are like 12-year little boys or 10 or whatever the hell they are. And they behave like men would do, but they talk about all the stuff that the modern infantile Crowley man talks about. The Gen X man, the millennial man, the gamer man, the internet, just regular people. Man babies. South Park has gone on for how many, 18, 20 seasons of man baby stuff. They all talk about coming, pissing, farting, and eat my loads, and you have to lick my asshole and all this stuff. And they're like 10-year-old or 11-year-old little boys, okay? Even if they're 12, and I know people talk like this now probably, but again, it's just perpetuation of the man baby thing. There you go. So South Park, they're little manlets. They're literal man babies. Like they're babies that talk like men and talk about blow me, you motherfucker, and all that stuff and whatever. And it's all the things of men. This one's about all the monsters and cartoons and all your nostalgia for all that shit. That's what this DVD of Imagination Land of South Park is specifically. So that's why I included this. And no, I don't have every season of South Park. I kind of only discovered South Park, and some people said that's because South Park only just got good when they started making them, like when the technology made it so they could make them like in a week. I was like, that is a crazy pace to keep up. But that's when it became interesting to me because they seem so current, like wow, that's happening now. Conan O'Brien. Conan O'Brien. Oh, it's actually trying theme still comment top. But anyway, Conan O'Brien. Conan O'Brien does the man baby late night. All the late night hosts are man babies. But Conan O'Brien, I pick on him specifically because he's the one that goes with this weird, absurdist humor that has a lot of dolls and toys and puppets and nostalgia for things of childhood and youth. And his sensibility is that of a naughty boy. Oh, I'm a naughty boy. And he flirts, but he does it like in this weird, silly juvenile way, which is good. It's like a way to get away from it, a way to get away with it. But again, Triumph the Insult Comic Dog, it's somebody's hand puppet. It's a way for a guy to say, I'm going to say, whatever mean things you want to say to somebody and get away with it. It's like a caricature artist. Yeah, here's Conan O'Brien. So there he is. So Conan O'Brien, look at his, he's a giant man, baby. Tracy Morgan, same thing. Why did I bring this one? Because I don't like Saturday Night Live, but out of all the Saturday Night Live, the best of to get, this is the only one I think that's worth it. Maybe there's like another one. I can't think of who it would be. Don't tell me Will Ferrell. I hate that fucking guy. But Tracy Morgan, this is a funny DVD. So I kind of brought it out to recommend it as something to watch. And there's a couple in here that I'm going to recommend to watch. Ted, the guy doesn't want to grow up. We'll get to that one. But Tracy Morgan, he's a man, baby. He's uncontrollable. He just does what he just like is like a kid. He's like, I want to do this, I want to do that, but they can't contain him. He's like a giant baby. Like, no, Tracy, no, don't do this, don't do that. But he's doing all those things. Get a Life. I recorded this from USA Channel. It's like 6-hour DVD that I made. And it says, Get a Life. This is Chris Elliott, who was a writer for David Letterman. Again, David Letterman, man, baby, humor, propagated. Everybody loved Letterman when they were a man or growing up into be a man. They would step late after the lame Johnny Carson or the lame Jay Leno. That's what they would say. And then they would watch David Letterman because David Letterman was for the cool, hip young people when David Letterman was a new guy on the block. And one of his writers was Chris Elliott. And his dad was a weird Masonic legacy whose name was Bob Elliott. And he was from Bob and George or Bob and Dave. I can't remember. It was an old comedy team. So there's probably some weirdness in there because they got on TV. And you know that nobody got anywhere because all your programming for always has been filtered and refined to get to the point where they're all basically weird to get on with it. Occult magic spells that propagate the same Tavistock instituted ideas and programs that they want all movies to have. Otherwise, you don't get them. So there, Chris Peterson, it says Chris Peterson is a big loser. This is the story of Get a Life, this TV series. Since I don't have a DVD of the actual thing of it, this is what I made. That's why this one's my drawings, a goof. Chris Peterson is a big loser. He lives with his parents. He is single, 30 years old, and a paper boy. He masturbates and lives in a world with no internet because this show was on in the 90s. It had 2 seasons. I don't know who watched it, but he was literally a man baby. He is the basement dweller. He lived with his parents, but instead of living in the basement, he lived in the garage. And then he moved out and he lived in somebody's garage, like where you park cars. And that was season 2. His job was to deliver newspapers, and he had a thing for redheads because on the show, Chris Elliott, the actual guy, has a thing for redheads. Chris Elliott had a man baby show called Eagle Heart on Adult Swim. Adult Swim is the man baby channel, and I'm going to talk about Tim and Eric. Tim and Eric, by the way, Get a Life. I should have Mr. Show. Mr. Show is a very funny, prescient man baby comedy show on HBO that has at least 10 skits about Illuminati and all the stuff that we now know is actually true. Not about Illuminati, but about occult groups and the blowjobbery and sex trafficking, all stuff. Yeah, that was in Mr. Show. Mr. Show had Bob Odenkirk and a couple of other guys that were originally writers on this show, Get a Life. And it was absurdist man-boy humor. Specifically, Get a Life has a specific type of humor. Got a Better Call Saul, Bob Odenkirk, the Bob of Bob and David of Mr. Show, which is a popular cult comedy thing like Kids in the Hall from the 90s. Well, Bob Odenkirk is related to Steve Odenkirk, and Steve Odenkirk was a writer, one of the main shapers of Futurama, who also worked on The Simpsons. Both these guys worked on Saturday Night Live, and it's all a weird little cliquey. They all went to Harvard and worked on the Lampoon when they were in college and stuff like that. And Chris Elliott is a weirdo, and I like his style of comedy. It's absurdist, but it's in the background of his family. He's in a weird thing where he did with Seth Rogen when Seth Rogen's a boy. Not Seth Rogen. Robot Chicken. Who's that, Seth? Seth Green Chris Elliott had a production with Seth Green when he was a child, so there's some weirdness about that, perhaps. The Big Lebowski, I said this before, he just doesn't really want to have to do anything. He's a stoner guy. He's like, I just wanted my rug. I got involved. Now I just want nothing to happen again. I just want all this to stop. That's what he keeps saying, right? When's this going to be over? And then John Goodman, these are all man babies. They have nothing going on. Look at this guy's the incel, gun nut. We'll do this. We'll do that. He goes crazy. Look, this is before it became such an internet thing. They had that. They had it in the Big Lebowski. Look at his character. And then who do you have? This guy, the pervert pedophile bowling team ball licker guy. And there's Jeff Goldblum. Jeff Winger, whatever the fuck his name is. Lebowski there. He's like, hey, man, just leave me alone. Dave Chappelle. Him and his buddies just want to smoke weed and get high. They are forced to have to do anything to save their buddy. Let me move this camera. I like that. There we go. I think I like that better for everybody. It's probably better for you, right? Because I'm always showing it crooked. Super Jail, Adult Swim. Super Jail and Adult Swim. This I got at a yard sale, and it is cacophony. This is just slaughter. This is saying, like, in the future will be a prison planet. This is literally about like a prison planet or a prison galaxy or something. It's like a prison dimension. And in this prison dimension, it is just anything goes, like any kind of weird GMO creature, demon, monster, things from other worlds. They just take men, real criminals, anyone. And it's just like the show opens with the guy starting a crime. It's a cartoon, this whole thing. It starts with a guy committing a crime and then thinking he's gotten away with it. And then he gets busted and taken to the super jail, which this is inside the walls of super jail. And every episode is just slaughter. Nobody survives. Everybody dies. And there's like a guy who's a warden voiced by real life weirdo David Wayne, who has another movie in the Man Baby cinema. David Wayne, another perpetuator of man baby culture from his Wayne days online miniseries. David Wayne made a bunch of movies such as Role Models. I might as well pop that baby out here right now. Role Models by David Wayne is about Paul Rudd, who is a guy who is just annoyed by everything in culture, modern culture. He's the man baby. He's the Bill Murray. He's the Chevy Chase, too cool for school. He's the workaholic. And so is his buddy here. His buddy is the handsome, drinking, fucking, dumb guy, right? So there's supposed to be, avatars for the regular modern slob. And then they're hanging out with the young, enculturated, LARPing D&D gaming guy. And a little horny black kid who's not in the cover. And they're all a bunch of man babies taking care of each other. And it's funny because they do fucked up shit. And the kid says, fucking suck my dick and stuff. And he's a little boy. And I don't like that part of it because you got to realize it's really a kid saying all that stuff. So anyway, here's what the inside. There you go. That's what Super Jail looks like. It's a dead pink rabbit on top of David Wayne's character's head with a fly. Dead flies are on a dead carcass of Super Jail. That's Adult Swim. Yeah. It's just like 15 minutes or 11-minute episodes of screaming and when there's women in it, the women are transvestites. There's like, oh yeah, they're right there. You see that? There's this one character that's always in it. It's a transvestite. It's got like all kinds of weird symbols, but the image is too small, so I'm just gonna move on. But yeah, the workaholics, it's the modern Three Stooges. Has that ever been pointed out directly? I mean, the guy's even got curly red hair. This guy's retarded, and they're all dumb, but now they just smoke weed and just get high off of Whippets or whatever the hell it is. Pineapple Express. I don't like this kind of movie, but like, again, it's so cheap to rent them. Like, I own them. Like, for $2 at a yard sale, I own this, and then I watch it. I don't like any of these guys. Not any of them. None of the three. Again, he was from that baseball show. What's it called? I don't know what it was called, but he's in that baseball show, Danny McBride. And he's an asshole. He's a man baby. Seth Rogen's the man baby. All of his, oh, I get high. Oh, we got a baby. Oh, shit, I lucked out. She's hot at least. I'll get it together. And then this guy who did, he's a fucks teenage girls. He's got Salinger syndrome. I think he was diagnosed with that. They made it a syndrome so he can get away with it. So this guy, Franco's got Salinger syndrome. and they're all man babies. All right, this is a stoner movie where these guys connect stoner and gore, which is something that doesn't work for me. I don't like Tropic Thunder. I don't like stoner and gore. Kids in the Hall. Kids in the Hall. They're all man babies, but they're man babies that are sharp, and they make fun of all their moms, sisters, dads, everybody around them. They're sharp enough to make fun of them, right? Mark McKinney's father's a diplomat. Scott Thompson's a homosexual. I don't know what this Bruce McCullough has weird background. He's probably some weird Masonic connection to this guy. And then there's the other two. I don't know anything about him. But anyway, Brain Candy is about a man-baby future where people, this is the happy pill made by a company called Rorator, and they make a happy pill, and people take the happy pill and they get happy, but they stay locked in a happy state, which is like a coma, and it creates chaos in the world because all their pharmacological drugs create weird side effects, which is even joked about. Like, did you make any more flipper babies? And like, well, only a couple flipper babies. Like, no more flipper babies. And there's all these weird side effects from their drugs. Brendan Fraser's in here with sugar pill side effects. He's got zits on his face. They talk about the side effects of pharmaceuticals, and they talk about how they will figure out a way to make the drug and have the side effects still, but still keep making the drug. And the happy ending for this movie is they still keep making the happy pill, even though it puts people into comas. But, you look at today where people are willing to take a medication and it has like 7 other side effects, but don't worry, there's 7 other pills you can take for the side effects. So there's that one. There's this one. What else do we have here? Hot Tub Time Machine. Hot Tub Come Machine. No, Hot Tub Time Machine. They're all man babies. All right. And what's the thing about man babies? You want to go back in time. You kind of are stuck. You don't want to develop properly. These guys literally get to live the dream. Go back in time, plow through their old girlfriends, be young and thin again, get your hair back. And wouldn't it be cool if you could go back and hang out with your kid because this guy's that guy's son? So they go back in time, but they fix everything because that's what people say. If I knew then what I knew now. I heard it when I was growing up. I'm like, what are you talking about? I mean, I don't want to go back, but I understand it now that I'm older, right? So what else do we have with man baby stuff? Maybe we can head over to the other pile. We got Pee Wee Herman. I could just tell you about him. He's a man baby. He's Pee Wee Herman. His movie's there. I don't need to get it out. Marwan Call. This guy was a man baby. He was also a transvestite. It's a documentary about a transvestite. I talked about it before in another episode. This guy's Mark Hogenkamp got hit in the head, and they made a documentary about him. He came out of his coma from getting hit in the head, and it turned out that he was a really good photographer and he liked to play with toys. So this man is like on disability, and he has a rich, elaborate DeviantArt style fantasy life that he photographs and catalogs of his made up adventures of him playing with toys as an adult. But only when you're a kid, you didn't have internet and cameras and shit and all these like Dragons 1/16 scale dolls and all this shit made in Japan stuff. The Japans have a big thing for expensive dolls. It's like part of their heritage. It's part of Shinto or something. They think everything's going to come alive. Well, these guys in love with his dolls. All right. So thanks, Japan. So anyway, that's a real person. He's a man baby. The Office. This is 40. This is 40. Judd Apatow is a man baby, but he also had all the money. This is his wife. He shows his wife's tits in this. There's Paul Rudd, the man baby. This is the degradation of the culture. Here's the cover box. This is somebody else's, by the way, just so you know. I'm not going to buy this. But I was like, can I borrow this? Because this is fucked. I wanted to get Van Wilder, but I must have left it there too. Because I would have held that up. Because Ryan Reynolds is your guy you like. I'm coming back to him. So, but he's taking his shit and she's brushing her teeth on the toilet. And it's supposed to be, I don't know what it's supposed to be, but he's a man baby. What do I do with my life and my money? His father's a man baby. He has to take care of his father, who is Albert Brooks. And Albert Brooks keeps having kids. And now Paul Rudd has some money, and now he has to take care of his father. But he had his vanity project was having a record company when that doesn't matter anymore and it fails. So that's what this movie's about. Man baby. Knocked Up is the same thing. Hey, I knocked up a chick pregnant on a one-night stand. Lucky she's a hot chick. That happens to a lot of people. I knock somebody up on a one-night stand. So anyway, there you go. Mandy. It's not necessarily man baby, but it's like a fantasy appropriate to a lot of man babies. And I told you, I this one captured me. But let's look what man baby is. Nick Cage, the alcoholic guy. It's revealed in the features, the special features that he's an alcoholic. Apparently, I seen it. So Nick Cage, the alcoholic, he finally falls in love. He meets Mandy. They get married. They're married. They settle. That's if you didn't know that from seeing this. So they're married. They have their nice place in the woods, and he's getting by, and he's growing up from being a man baby, but he has it all taken away from him. She's killed, and it's kind of like a man baby fantasy, or like a lot of men's. It's a grim fantasy, but the idea, like you have this woman, this ultimate love, and if she was ever taken away from me, I would just do whatever the fuck it took to get my revenge on everyone that hurt her. It's a story of the crow, which I could have had in here, but for man baby. But actually, the crow is more of a poetic thing about like, well, it's just revenge, but this is revenge too. But I thought this is popular now, and I know this is going to appeal to a lot of people because it's more like some other movies we're going to talk about, like a walkthrough. It's immersive. You're just supposed to pay attention and watch to the spaces in it, which they say is like an old movie, but I say this is more like the future of films, more spaces and less, more simple stories, more like programs, more like simple programs. People are dumber now. People are programmed. The frame rates, the spells, people are programmed. People are hypnotized. Everything. We've got a global dairy from Stephen King's It, and we've got the grown-up man babies. These are my movies. These are the things where I was like, I'll see this, I'll see that, and see if it's funny. But like I said, the ones that aren't mine aren't mine. But The Office, I talked about that already. Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey is a big deal to a lot of us. Not me, but I have progeny that grew up liking Jim Carrey. Let's go. We got to see the new Jim Carrey movie, Dad. Okay. So Jim Carrey, a lot of people grew up with him being a funny guy, playing with his butt cheeks, doing Ace Ventura and all that stuff. And he did a lot of movies. He was a Truman Show, which is a big story about the world we live in now, where we're on camera, but it's Brave New World style. We're on camera, Truman Show style, but it's willingly. Like we know we're on camera and we want to be filmed and we don't care that people hear it, except for when they don't like what we say and we get punished for it. But Jim Carrey was a disappointment, and he was made to be a disappointment on purpose. You grow up with this guy. He's a role model of the man baby. You tell me Jim Carrey, The Mask, Jim Carrey, multiple Uncle Jim K Ultra. I had to pick this movie of Jim. I have a bunch of Jim Carrey movies, but I picked this one because it's the one where he has multiple personality disorder. He's an MK Ultra, like he really is. Like he's really that guy. Jim Carrey's really fucking crazy. Jim Carrey looks like shit now. I call him Uncle Jim K Ultra. Oh, I'm worried about Uncle Jim. I call him Uncle Jim because so many people grew up with this guy. A generation grew up with this guy, or took their kids to the movies to see him do all of his shenanigans and then to see him get, serious and sentimental. Jim Carrey also did 23. Jim Carrey always plays the same character over and over again in all of his movies, all of them. He plays a guy who doesn't have self-confidence, and then he gets some self-confidence, but he gets it by overcompensating. So when I say his performances are over the top, I would say no. Jim Carrey is a good actor. His performances aren't over the top. He can be low key when he needs to be. He's a great performer, but what you're seeing is the same archetype he's always asked to play: a guy who doesn't have self-confidence and then gets it and overcompensates. I did a whole episode about it. But in A Brave New World, in Clockwork Orange, there's not much. Think about Malcolm McDowell this way. He's a bad boy. He's like Billy Madison with gore and violence. He's like a grandma's boy that got to get locked up. Where's Billy Madison? He's Animal House. Look, Clockwork Orange, Animal House. They're not that far off in terms of Belushi, Malcolm McDowell. Here's Malcolm McDowell in the future. Crazy. We're there. All right. Here's John Belushi. And what was this in the 60s? When Animal House was set. So Belushi in the 60s is like, evolves into Clockwork Orange, and somewhere in between, we get Deadpool. There's like Deadpool is before. Deadpool has morals and ethics and values, and then when Deadpool's sensibilities are gone, when that generation's dead, then we get Clockwork Orange, and that's like the grandkids of ICP fans or something. I'm joking. I don't know, but anyway, Guardians of the Galaxy, Star-Lord 2. Who do we have? He deals with his father. All right. Kurt Russell is Star-Lord's father in this when he finally meets his dad. And his father is so obsessed with his own ego that his father wants to consume his son and say, no, I don't want you to take over. I don't want you to be, I'm staying in the limelight. I will consume you and I will still always be number one. And unfortunately, a lot of dads are like that. They're competitive with their sons. Again, it's a social engineering thing. And again, interesting. What do we have here? We have Yondu, who is his Star-Lord's stepdad. So Yondu is a intergalactic child sex trafficker. Remember, because that's why what's his name? Stallone doesn't like Yondu, because everybody knows that Yondu is an intergalactic child trafficker, and Star-Lord is the one he saved to take care of. So that also has something to do with the relationship between James Gunn and James Gunn's father, because James Gunn has an interesting father. And this movie is about that family thing, but they're all man babies. Even these women, they're man baby women, like the female equivalent. They have daddy issues. Everybody here has got daddy issues. And the one guy that's an adult, that's mature, his wife, his whole family's dead. So now he's just on his revenge fantasy, which again, like, you see how incestuous all this stuff is, how it took me so long to get to this episode where I could show you all this, you know what I mean? Because it's like this big soup of shit that goes together. I was trying to show you, Deadpool. But you see what I mean? Like, they're all man babies. Civil War. This is the superheroes. This is the superheroes, the good guys fighting amongst themselves. All right. He's a playboy millionaire man baby. I make the toys. I play with the toys. I get the girls. I'm a good guy. I'm a Boy Scout. I represent the old America, the old guard. I was always meant to die by the end of this series as they kill off America. Think about how they do Captain America Civil War. They get us to fight with each other online as planned through all social media. That's the beginning of flagging each other. I mean, it's going on, but it's been going on for a couple of years, not just in 2018. As 2018 comes to a close and the elections show up, the movies are preparatory for that. So what do you get in the summer? Thanos says, boom, population agenda, depopulation agenda, whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? So you get that. And before that, you get Civil War. So then you're going to see both these guys die and get replaced by women or something, probably. He's going to get replaced by a black teenage chick from Wakanda or something like that. And he'll get replaced by, I don't know, the Queen, somebody from England. Some of the British accent. Ryan Reynolds is supposed to be one of your archetypes. He plays the guy like Bill Murray. Hey, I'm cool. I'm together. Things aren't working out for me, but I'll make them work out for me. And I can still get the girl, but mostly the girl that Ryan Reynolds get, even in Deadpool and in Waiting. It's always the easy to get girls. He always takes the girls that's a little dirty, a little roughed up, because that's what most girls are. You're supposed to settle for that now. And women are supposed to settle for man babies so that you can watch. I have all these movies in your, because now people just have the files of movies and stuff. Oh, what else do we have? Man baby stuff. Oh, wait, I'm losing my files. Okay, get out of there. Okay. So Tom Hanks, big. Oh, Hardcore Henry. So I got to get these ones out of here. Let's move this around. I want some of these movies. We'll make it work. Bear with me. Cheech and Chong. I don't need to show you. There's a lot of comedy duo ones. Let's go through those guys now. I don't have Bill and Ted to show you. I have Cheech and Chong. They're down at the bottom of the pile. But I have Ted. It's the guy, a kid with his teddy bear. It's just him and his familiar, him and his magical teddy bear friend. A boy and his teddy bear as grown-ups. Hardcore Henry. This is kind of like Mandy. Where the hell did Mandy go? This is like Mandy and all those other ones where it's just revenge fantasy. But this one takes it a step further, and it's also before Mandy. This one came out a couple years ago. But Hardcore Henry, it's just so direct. It's like very, it's just point and shoot the movie, and it's like the girl doesn't matter, the friends don't matter, nobody matters. Just point and shoot, and try not to die and stay alive. And if you get blasted to shit, your parts can be replaced because he is also a transhumanist, cyborg, Russian. They took the body of a Russian thug and kept it alive and used it for this program to make them into a video game first person shooter. And that's what it is. And even at the end of the movie, when the girl's there, he's like, gets the girl, he's like, fuck the girl, and shoots the girl or kicks her out of the airplane or whatever. It's, I mean, I'm not saying it's great because of what happens to the woman. That's horrible. She's a bad person. But anyway, this movie is pretty interesting because it's intense. It's just like never stops. He's just always on the go. It's and Sarah Silverman and Tim and Eric. Sarah Silverman's a man baby. Her whole shtick is, I'm disgusting, I'm a pig. So now a lot of guys that complain about how women aren't funny in comedy say that, yes, Sarah Silverman just said, hey, the times have changed and I can be a slob and a pig and a slut and have yellow stains in my underwear and, queef and stuff like that. And people will laugh at it. And it's funny when people haven't seen it before. And then it's just gross because the older she gets, she never becomes a woman and she's playing a character, right? But it just, and who are Sarah Silverman's friends? Her sister, who's older than her, that takes care of her. Sarah Silverman's a man baby, like Get a Life. Get a Life has Chris Elliott is the I can't get him to stay MF. So Chris Elliott is a man baby and he lives with his parents, and she lives in an apartment by herself. But her sister, who's a nurse who actually has a job, pays for it. And Sarah Silverman doesn't do anything. She doesn't have a job. So Chris Elliott's a paper boy, which is barely a job, right? And then she has no job. And then she just has horrible racist adventures covered in cum and ectoplasm and whatever else. And, there's ghosts and demons. She gives birth to a demon child. And her friends are two gay guys that live together. And all they do is they never have sex or whatever, but they play video games and get high all the time. And she's dated to a police officer who's a buffoon. So the police are the symbol of authority. The guys are supposed to count on when somebody's breaking your house. They're represented as fools. Her sister takes care of her. She doesn't have any kids. And Sarah's best friends are two gays. And she's the selfish person that, like on purpose, doesn't have any friends, will stab anybody in the back. She's just she's the Crowley's dream, the infant child. Here's their two Scarlet Woman and Hellboy together. If these two ever fuck, you're going to have a really funny show, right? And now Tim and Eric. I can't think about these guys anymore without thinking about Sam Hyde. I want to talk about Tim and Eric. Tim and Eric perpetuate this man boy thing in 11-minute segments. Every iteration of stuff they had was just just little clippy things of stuff that makes you laugh. But it's also a way to enculturate with your thinking to the new media that we have, the new social media. So this idea of shorter segments of, well, we just have like a couple bits, but we could make it seem like a show, or we could do this or that. It also lends itself to changing the sensibilities of how people think and can pay it. It's about paying attention to shit. So when you have little short things like this, just to get on with it, it's programming you to pay attention, pay attention more to the shows, but to less, and to need constant stimulation. It's to give you constant dopamine hits. And it's like waiting, boom, dun, 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 dun. So Tim and Eric is weird because this guy, according to Sam Hyde, he likes teenage girls and he has pedo face and he's real gross and everything. I agree. And this guy, what I know about him is I can't find the interview anymore, but it's an audio interview where both these guys are interviewed. And Mark Maron asked them about ask Heidecker, hey, I heard your grandparents were Nazi social engineers. And it's weird because considering what your comedy is like, and they both get very uncomfortable. They really do. I cannot find that. And I want, if somebody finds it and leaves a comment and links to me, cool. I mean, you have to go looking for it, but if you already know what I'm talking about, I talk about it all the time and I can't substantiate it. And I'd like to be able to substantiate this, because the idea that these guys got on Adult Swim and his parents are his grandparents rather, are tied to like North German experimentation during World War II. Like they were actually Nazis and did the weird stuff. Who are his parents then? Heidecker's parents, because they get really uncomfortable about it. I didn't make that up. Years ago, it was on a WTF podcast. So anyway, these guys infect the sensibilities of what people think's funny. A lot of videos that other people make, like $1 Million Extreme stuff, they developed their comedic sensibilities by these guys' little clips. I remember these guys when they started. They were one. They were one of the early guys online. I paid $10. They had a Tim and Eric DVD, and on that DVD, it had Batman, and it was about Batman getting high, and it was all like little photo collage, cut and paste, flash animated things, and it was funny. And then they had one that was like My Two Dads, and these two dads that were Tim and Eric lived in a mobile home, and they had a daughter, and all the shit was pancakes, and it's some weird shit. They had prank phone calls where they were coming like stores that calling stores that don't exist anymore, like Montgomery Ward and shit. Anyway, you could get it for $10. Louis C.K. was one of those early online DVD guys too. Louis C.K. is a weirdo man, baby. I should have had something of his in here, but I don't know if I had anything like that to get. Louis C.K.'s HBO series was funny. I liked that. The one where he was a dad and he just had like one set, which was an apartment, and they had like another set, which was like a donut shop or some shit. Yeah, that was a funny show, but nobody liked it. But anyway, Louis C.K. is a big man, baby. He's a big douche. So Tim and Eric, they're enculturating the man, baby. They're also getting you used to the Vine mindset, the Twitter mindset, all these things that make you think in limited clips. YouTube first only allowing you to do short form. You can only upload 15 minutes at a time, and then it could be more. And now it's like, now they're encouraging like, no, if you want to be on YouTube at all, we want you to do live streams for a long time. But again, that's because they were working on the bots to monitor what you're talking about while you talk about it. So that you wouldn't just do a video and put it up and have it like run through things, so that you could actually have it monitored while you do it. That's where they're leading it. So that's why I'm going to say a bold claim like that and fucking stand by it. So anyway, you get it. All your superheroes are man babies. Scott Pilgrim's a man baby. Tom Hanks. Do you ever hear about his conspiracy theories about him? How he takes pictures of children's shoes and gloves, like abandoned and discarded, and they're always like weird. Like, wow, Tom Hanks has a poetic side. But then if you think of him in terms of all that scandals that are going around, you're like, is Tom Hanks a weirdo hanging out with Spielberg and shit? How'd he get to be Tom Hanks? They always, whatever. But anyway, he's big. He starts the movie out as Screech from Saved by the Bell, and then he grows up, and he's still a 13-year-old boy, but he has the body of a man, so he can plow pussy and get a job and buy all the games and cakes and toys he wants. So what's his game? He works making stuff for kids or something like that, right? And he goes to the toy store. Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith, he was the proto Judd Apatow. Like, you couldn't have Judd Apatow without, stealing from Kevin Smith. All Judd Apatow is, this is 40. It's still man boy related. There's Mandy. Man boy and Mandy. Hold on. I keep thinking of Three Dog Night and Brandy. Brandy, you're a fine girl. What a midwife you'd be. Just kidding. Ted. So you got Mallrats, and this is 40 by Judd Apatow. So Kevin Smith came out with Mallrats and said, what do kids do? This is what they did. They hung out at the mall because they could. It was the convenience store culture. Eric Bogosian made a movie about it too. And I was like, is he ripping off Clerks? But I think it was called Convenience. But anyway, forget about the Eric Bogosian one. It's crazy. It's like, it feels like a play. It's a play they shot at a convenience store. But anyway, fuck that guy. So anyway, Mallrats leads to Judd Apatow, because Judd Apatow started out doing that thing. He had a TV show, Freaks and Geeks, which was all about like the generation that would grow up to be the man babies and shit like that. Like the girl was a tomboy and she's a dirty girl, which is interestingly the same girl from Judd Apatow's Freaks and Geeks is the same girl. It's the hot chick or whatever. Or no, there she is. The same girl's the hot chick in Grandma's Boy. She's a cool video game playing chick. She's good at Super Mario Brothers, and she smokes weed because, well, probably a lot of cool girlfriends are actually like that. But anyway, hey, everybody's got to de-stress, all right? Not all women want to kill their liver, and a lot of places are making Soma illegal, so I understand why a lot of adult women are smoking weed. But is it a good idea? Probably not. Right? Probably not a good idea. So this is 40. Judd Apatow is Kevin Smith with Albert Brooks. I don't have any Albert Brooks, but think about Albert Brooks and some of his man baby stuff. Woody Allen. I don't own Woody Allen. I never liked him. Never. Not even when I knew about all his daughters that he slept with and everything. But isn't it hot though? Isn't it okay because there's not really his daughters? No, it's gross. You don't take on that role. And nah, you don't do that. You don't take on that role and bone your progeny. But anyway, I don't like Judd Apatow. And if you don't like Judd Apatow, like I don't like Judd Apatow. All he is Kevin Smith and Albert Brooks combined. And that's This Is 40. Albert Brooks is fucking in it. Okay? So don't give me no shit. Kevin Smith even figured out, wait a minute, Judd Apatow is just making the same cum comedies that I make, and he gets money. How come I can't get money? Because, Kevin, you're still a Catholic. Even when you did Dogma, you didn't renounce God. You only reinforce your position as a Catholic. You're never going to get funny unless you join Lucifer. Maybe they'll get you through your kid. We'll see, Kev. Anyway, has Kev renounced God yet, Kevin Smith fans? I don't follow him anymore because there's no point. He made all his good stuff. It's over. And his good stuff was what? All of it. Man Baby Cinema. There's Clerks too. It's the same characters, but it's all the convenience culture. It's the 90s. Like you could get by on corn dogs and whatever from the convenience store. You still can. What did they say about junkies? I'm not saying these guys are junkies, but what do they say about junkies in convenience stores? They know what vitamins and nutritions to get to keep going. Because if you ask convenience store clerks that have been doing it a long time, what do the junkies come in for? Something with chocolate and something with orange juice, because they want the vitamin C and the magnesium that comes from them. And that is a thing about junkies. So that's interesting. Clerks too. You can be a slob or any one of these guys and somehow wind up with a hot chick. I don't know. So anyway, that's those guys. Beavis and Butthead. People imitate everything they see. I remember, people, in the art department and all that shit. What are you doing? Oh, Beavis and Butthead. And then you would hear the teenagers are talking about Beavis and Butthead, imitating it like, yeah. And then, oh, what else don't I have? Dude, Where's My Car? Harold and Kumar. Those are all the comedy teams of Man Boys where two people get together to start shenanigans because they're chances of role models, Animal House, Hot Tub Time Machine, Tim and his teddy bear. It's these comedy teams of Deadpool. Well, he's kind of like a lone guy. You know what I mean? The Avengers is the team. The Man Babies and a couple of hot chicks that are tomboys that hang out with them. Caddyshack 2. I got this for free, and it's terrible. Don't watch it, but I just wanted to include it to show it because it's so fucking bad. You can't replace, no disrespect to Jackie Mason, but here's what they did with Caddyshack 2. Like, let's do Man Babies again. Chevy Chase made a bunch of movies and they sucked. So they were able to get him for Caddyshack 2. Probably for like wraparounds. And then they were like, they couldn't get Rodney Dangerfield, so they got Jackie Mason. They couldn't get Bill Murray, so they got Dan Aykroyd. And then all the rest, Ted Knight was probably dead, so they got Robert Stack from Unsolved Mysteries are in it, and like put Black Chick in there, and that's it. And there's a groundhog again. So Caddyshack 1 and 2, terrible. It's at the same place with this one same guy, which is Chevy Chase, and it's terrible. But again, do you see how it's like everything? And if I went further back in time, or if you're older than me and you can remember older movies, you can probably find your equivalents of your Man Babies of the time. Because like I said, this goes all the way back to black and white days, right? Harold Lloyd doing weird shit. Why are you hanging off of a clock tower? I mean, Harold Lloyd was playing with fireworks and blew his fucking fingers off. He was an old, early black and white shenanigans guy. But he had his fingers missing, so he had to wear a glove all the time in the black and white movies because he blew his fingers out playing with firecrackers. So Deadpool, he's the extreme man baby. He is the cursing bloody Spider-Man. He kills people for money. He gets laid. You can't kill him. He's indestructible. He has infinite lives. He knows all the cheats and the hacks. He's Hermes. Hermes. I don't know, man. What do you think? They do it some justice? I'm going to check out the comments because you probably have some cool stuff I haven't even thought of. I'm going to go back to everybody. Hey, Kimchi. Hey, Sweeney 32, Burke 77. Sorry for, let me get on the same page with you. Okay, there's not a lot in here because I wasn't responding. Sorry for that, but let's see what you read before I head out. How did I move that? I'm sorry, I'm trying to navigate all the pages. Kimchi, it's the right way in the live video. Never understood by buying DVDs or movies. Yeah, but now it's so it's cheap to get them. All the stuff that I got that you're seeing before you, all these DVDs and stuff, they cost me nothing. It's like I remember the rental days. It cost $3 or $4 or $2.50. It kept getting higher to rent a movie. What was the highest at the end of Blockbuster? $3.99 or some shit for new releases. I can't remember. The price should be on them, but I got them for nothing. Look, I got Grandma's Boy from the Goodwill, which is from Blockbuster for $2.97. For the price it would have cost me to rent it, I own these things, and I like holding on to them because I think of DVDs like Fahrenheit 451, because what they'll be able to do is have algorithm bots or whatever programs will be able to go through and alter content with the help of people. But I mean, they want it to get sophisticated to the point where the system is entirely managed, where the AI can do stuff like that and just alter content of movies, cut things out. What did they mention? What was shown? Change it. They're rewriting history through cinema. Get rid of all your physical media and replace it with, everything's online, everything's files. I mean, if you keep something on an external hard drive, fine. But these are also the programming. This is the programming of, this is what you get. You can like whatever you like and say, I don't like those comedies or those movies. I didn't even talk about the program you get from action movies, fantasy stuff. Let's pick up Mandy again. When you're doing impossible fantasy stuff, like, well, a lot of this has fantasy in it. I mean, even like all these have fantasy elements of slapstick comedy. Grandma's Boy, Mandy, they'll have elements of unreality. But with the horror and gore, it's to desensitize us, obviously, but it's also to, like, people laugh now when people get hurt. I remember a time when America's Funniest Home Videos was new, because this was before everybody had internet. There was no internet. And people would watch people get hurt and they go, ooh, that's not funny. And it would even be the reaction from the audience that was watching the show. But over time, now people getting hurt is funny. And of course, there was the kids growing up in the VHS tape dreading days where they would watch the wipeouts on borders and people trying to do stunts on skateboards and getting fucked up. I mean, even if you weren't a skateboarder, you could see that stuff on VHS tapes. You're like, oh my God, like wipeouts. And then there was Faces of Death and videos of people, VHS tapes you could go buy where you see people jumping off of buildings and shit like that. Horrible stuff. Autopsy VHS tapes. But it's all to desensitize us. I mean, now you have The Walking Dead, where when one season is about to premiere, all Sunday long in the daytime when children are home from school, they will play a nonstop TNT marathon of The Walking Dead with gore and horror and all that stuff. People eating people. It's a joke to them, but that's what we do. We consume each other. We tear each other apart and deplatform and deperson each other until there's no one left but the people who are our friends, so that there can only be one Highlander, right? So, violent fantasies, it doesn't make you think about the stakes. I mean, it really bothers me how many people that are adults that I hear say they've never been in a fight. I mean, it's good, I guess, that they've never been in a fight, but I mean, like, what does that mean? Like, don't you know what that feels like then, to be losing a fight? It's fucking sucks. I'm still here, so I didn't die. But shit, bad stuff. Immediately, I thought of my one friend who got out. Some guys were going to start shit with him, so he got out to fight him. And then somebody snuck up behind him and whacked him on the head. Next thing he wakes up, and probably 15 seconds later, on the side of the highway, because the guys knocked him the fuck out. I think they flattened his tires too. I can't remember. That's reality. Not to say that the world is grim. If you want to get grim reality, you'll get it from the news. The news has programmed us to all be victims. We're victims of something. We're all victims of some kind of indignity. I mean, whether we are or not. I mean, we are, because of the horrible beast system we already live in, as it continues to be defined around us, and we just sink into it. Why? Because we love all the magic spells. When I say they're magic spells, I'm not trying to be coy with you or say I believe in nonsense of magic of horned demons being conjured out of magic lanterns and shit like that. No, I'm just saying like people believe a lot of weird stuff. And these are forms of spells because when you watch a movie or a TV show, you literally go into a measurable, quantifiable, known hypnagogic trance and more. And they've known that for a long time. So they keep getting more sophisticated with the technology, with the ability to program us through what we watch. It's easier now than ever. Like when people who are older don't understand why a Blumhouse horror film gets to the kids, it's because they're programmed differently. The kids are going in to be triggered by those traumas. Boom, boom, boom. It's just old sleight of hand, like I want you to look this way, but boom, something's going to happen over here, over and over again. A good example of like a proto Blumhouse movie, I'm going to say, is, to nerd out on you a bit, is a movie I like, Tom Savini's remake of Night of the Living Dead in color, that has a SJW redhead as a survivor at the end, and still, but it has a lot of those cool, going to have you look this way, and then boom, have you look another way. It's like old fashioned stuff, but it's the stuff that works. And Tom Savini knew that. And Tom Savini made a good film. I don't know why Tom Savini hasn't made more horror films. Or maybe he can't get the money. I know he's trying to manage a school. But anyway, do we need him? No. Why do you need to be traumatized? Horror movies only exist to program you. So everything we talk about here, even my precious fucking comedies, I'm not really a big fan of Ted, but again, Ted, to see it, it only cost me $2 to own it. So there you go. My rule is don't pay more than I don't even pay $5 for a DVD anymore, because you can get them anywhere from $4 to $2. And sometimes people just give them away. Sometimes people throw DVDs away and they say free, a stack of DVDs. Why? They're your programming. They're my programming. Even though like a lot of stuff is more recent, I don't like like whatever the comedy's dead now. That's not a program now, because comedy is harder for AI and bots and all that stuff to read. And also I'm noticing there's a bunch of younger people aren't getting comedy. They're like, that's not funny, but nothing's funny. There's making a world where comedy is filtered out because there's too much content of, I don't know what you want to say, like original man or something in comedy. Humor allows something to come through. And all you get from humor, well, it's all for dudes. There's not really female comedy. What do you get from Bridesmaid? Mr. McGarbage 80 already ate that one and threw it away, so I don't have that one. But here's what you get from Bridesmaid, which is a female comedy of pigs. Like where's Sarah Silverman? Like Sarah Silverman and Broad City on Comedy Central and Amy Schumer. I don't have any Amy Schumer shit. But all these, the idea that women being funny means women being pigs, it's just the infant child man baby as a woman, because they want to defeminize women and emasculate men. So you got your man babies already, but that's too masculine. So now you have women come in and horn on the bits. And for a while, I think it's funny. Sarah Silverman's funny. Broad City's funny. Amy Schumer, whoever else they are is funny. But then you're just like, wow, it's kind of just gross now. It's like, I get it. You're a walking yeast infection. We can smell you coming. Funny. And whatever, and you hate kids. It's to program people to be like that. It's supposed to be appealing to young people, right? Look at the way this looks like. It looks like a children's DVD. It looks like Degrassi High or something. It's supposed to look like that, all right? Parents will let their kids watch anything nowadays, but a lot of people get away with watching comedy. And this is filled with puppets and dolls and fantasy, taking drugs, suspension of disbelief, getting abortions, having a sexual affair with God as a black man. They make a mockery of God as like a doting fool with magical powers who takes bong hits from two gay guys. And it's just like, it's all the man baby cinema. Grandma's Boy is a great example of it, which is funny, by the way. This movie's nothing about reality. It's a total joke. Like, it doesn't even, like when you watch it and like everybody knows about video games. I don't even play them or have a system, but I know about them. And I know that the mechanics of this movie don't work out. Like, I know that the fight at the end of this movie never needs to happen because the guy could show his data that he was programming a game that this guy doesn't have. I know that I shouldn't have said all that, but it's just nonsense. It doesn't matter. It's about the life. It's about it's a bacchanalia. A lot of these, talked about Hermes, but I didn't talk about Bacchus. Bacchus was the god of, of every kind of perversion. Get drunk. Did they get high back then? Get drunk on wine, Screw livestock, screw kids, screw each other, screw men, screw women, women on men, men on women, cats and dogs, everything. Oh, it's Bacchanalia. Oh, it's that pleasure bot or whatever. Hedonism, the hedonism bot from Futurama. That's Bacchus. Bacchus, the god of wine and drunkenness and debauchery, and you know, Fellini's Satyricon or Satyricon, or however you want to pronounce that. The height of the fall of Rome, of this lushness and ooh and ah, and, being a dandy fop, which is a different time period and all this shit. And what other cool thing can I show you before I go? Another Bobcat Goldthwait is a good director. I like what he makes. I don't like his solutions to problems. God Bless America should have been another man baby thing I could have had out here, but Shakes a Clown is something you could actually watch. It's funny. It's weird. It's about being a clown and how clowns are alcoholics and degenerates. The voice of SpongeBob SquarePants, Tom Kenny, plays the bad guy in this film, and he is a cocaine clown that murders people. And it does play like a comedy. It plays like a Happy Madison comedy. This actually kind of seems like the first Happy Madison comedy. And Adam Sandler's actually in this. Adam Sandler plays one of the other clowns. He's not on the back. But Bobcat Goldfarb here, a famous weirdo, director from Jimmy Kimmel, involved with the Masons, weirdness. He makes good films. And he always is self-deprecating of himself, which was the programming of the comedians of the time. One generation of comedians was programmed to self-deprecate, and that's part of man boy cinema for this. But a lot of the newer comedies, or whatever you call comedy now, some of this newer stuff, it's less self-deprecating, and it's just saying, look, we'll show you by his actions he's a fool, but he's never going to admit that he's a fool. He's always going to pretend to be the cool guy. But anyway, different times, different generations. You can see how they change. I'm just showing you programming, social engineering stuff through this. So Bobcat Goldthwait is an alcoholic clown who has to get it together. And that's all you need to know about this movie. He just keeps fucking it up. But it gets serious. Like he pukes, he has shakes. But when the things get real, they're not funny. Because you're like, oh, that's real. But it's funny. And people do get shot, but when they die, it's kind of in a funny way. But blending comedy and violence, like real stakes violence and with gore, doesn't work for me in comedy. But it's part of getting you used to that. And now it's been accepted that violence and gore go together. Like Shaun of the Dead, funny, you know what I mean? Like whatever. Quentin Tarantino made gore and violence and horror, like tried to make it funny. You got it. It's all over the place. All right. And it can even go back in other movies. So who do you have? Ryan Reynolds playing the same guy, kind of a guy who has self-confidence, but fucks up, but can't admit that he fucks up. And he does that over and over again. So you have Jim Carrey doing his thing and Ryan Reynolds doing his thing. And then I guess you can pull up Pee Wee Herman. Pee Wee Herman, he never wants to grow up. He doesn't even like girls yet, but he likes toys and he does do grown-up things. You can't mess with him because he's not a kid. He's a weird thing. He is man boy. Pee Wee Herman is man boy. I mean, Paul Rubens said that once he can't do the character anymore because he's too old, he wants somebody else to do the character. Well, I would too, to keep money going. But anyway, Pee Wee Herman, Deadpool, all these guys. There you go, guys. I wanted to do this one for a while. I finally did it. Thank you for sticking around to the end of it. Thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out with me for this. Dude, Where's My Car? Bill Murray and Stripes. I should have shown all. Those are all things. I don't have them. But Van Wilder. I should have shown all these things. Van Wilder was another Ryan Reynolds one, which I should have shown. It's the man boy thing. It's a real thing. I did it. That's it. It's something predicted by your social engineering books, your Brave New World. I mean, Clockwork Orange is the extreme version of it. Yeah. Thanks, everybody. That's episode.